What job do the weirdest people usually pick? From my experience, the weirdest folks are seasonal workers in state and national parks. That world is full of wanderers with chaotic lifestyles, people running from family drama, sketchy legal stuff, or just vibing too hard with student party culture. It's like a chaotic smoothie of drifters, over-the-top partiers, and random free spirits. It's kind of a semi-secret industry where you can get hired almost instantly with barely any requirements. I've got a buddy who does this. 1 month he's living in Alaska, texting me, let's hit a bar, and the next he's already signed a 6-month contract at some scenic park in Utah. The dude is super smart. He could be working a comfy office job, making solid money, but he just prefers this lifestyle. Honestly, I'm considering joining him. Sounds pretty awesome. Tattoo artists. So many of them have god complex energy. I once had an appointment booked 3 months in advance. A week before the session, the artist pushed it back 6 months because he just had to go to a tattoo convention in Florida or wherever. I tried to cancel, but since I was the one initiating, they didn't want to refund my deposit. After arguing with the shop owner, he agreed to tattoo me earlier. On the day, the owner himself did my piece, while the original artist was literally sitting right there in the shop. And while I was under the needle, that guy started whining about how people get annoyed when he reschedules them. He actually said he'd rather hang out in some fun city than do the work he already committed to. I finished my tattoo, swore never to go back, and left. Security. I swear, the folks who end up in this field are straight up cartoon characters. Every security guard I've ever met loses their marbles over the tiniest crumb of authority they're given. And the scary part, if there's ever a real emergency, we're all basically toast. The only skill they seem to have is handing out temporary visitor passes. My girlfriend's brother works as a guard. Before that, he was in healthcare, but after layoffs at the hospital, he had 2 choices, either become a guard or end up unemployed. He picked security. His job is nothing like helping sick people, but he does it honestly and doesn't act like a wannabe boss. Still, the stories he tells about his co-workers are exactly what everyone suspects. These guards are either power-tripping mini dictators or complete headless chickens. There's almost no middle ground. Truck drivers. Man, I've had some of the weirdest conversations on the road, the kind that leave you staring into space afterward. I know a lot of truckers. Most of them are rough around the edges, but genuinely kind. The type who'd give you the shirt off their back. But then there are the, let's just say, extra crispy ones. And that's exactly why they chose a job where they're always alone on the highway. I tried trucking for a short time myself. Sure, I met some awesome, generous people, but also some real galaxy brain conspiracy enjoyers, spiritual crystal enthusiasts, and the occasional weird energy folks. And they weren't all on one political side either. Yeah, a lot leaned right, but I also ran into centrists and full-on hippie types. Strange mix all around. Psychotherapists. I've met a few, and they absolutely love talking about all kinds of strange stuff and wild experiences. I also noticed that many of them have their own mental quirks. In fact, it's often the attempt to understand themselves that leads them to develop an interest in other people's problems. Politics. Center of narcissism. Ego through the roof. Almost everyone thinks they're capable of making important decisions. Spoiler, they're not, but they're happy to pass responsibility to the party. I can confirm, I worked as a paid staffer on a few election campaigns. Pay is peanuts. Volunteers, absolute madmen. Alcoholism, normal. 1/3 are obsessed with personal gain. Another third are fanatics, religiously devoted to the cause. The rest are broken people just trying to survive in a world they don't fit in. Puppeteers. At our college, there was a separate puppet theater club. The people in it were the strangest. I briefly dated a guy who was super into puppets. Nice dude, but as soon as he had a couple of drinks, you had to talk not just to him, but also to the puppet. And the puppet, a total little nightmare. The entire emergency services field is basically a gathering of people with undiagnosed mental quirks and addictions. We're all kind of autistic, adrenaline junkies, and socially challenged. My colleagues are either brilliant, kind, amazing humans, or just garbage in human form. And unfortunately, post-pandemic, nothing has changed. We still get paid peanuts, constantly insulted and exploited. Experienced staff are leaving en masse. We've been trying to hire for months, not a single applicant. So we end up taking whoever shows up. Lazy, clueless, unwilling to drive 15 extra minutes to get a patient proper care, and those who ignore updated protocols. Libraries. I love public libraries and respect the work they do. Every librarian I've met has instantly become one of my favorite people, yet also socially awkward, introverted, and quirky. One friend works as a librarian. When I asked him what he loves about the job, he said, "I barely have to do anything. I spend entire days reading, and people only come up to me to ask about books or movies." A room full of engineers, yikes. Engineers are fine, as long as they're surrounded by other tech people. They can happily talk for hours about random tech stuff and genuinely enjoy it. Problems start when someone who has zero clue about the topic enters the room. Maybe they're not weird in the classic sense, but salespeople definitely belong on the list. A lot of them just can't turn off the selling mode, so in normal conversations, they come off kinda artificial. You can talk to them for an hour, enjoy the chat, but still walk away not really knowing who they are or what they actually care about. My brother is like that. He literally cannot shut off his inner salesman. He won't just show me his new car so we can celebrate together. No, he'll pitch it to me like I'm a customer. Perfect for a family with kids, super convenient for shopping trips, and the towing capacity is amazing. Then he stares at me like he's waiting for me to say, "Fantastic, I'll take two." And the funniest part, he doesn't even work at a dealership. I work in sales myself, so I get it. The problem is, when you're dealing with clients, you're trained to avoid conflict, never disagree, always adapt. Over time, you develop this customer-friendly version of yourself that bends to match whoever you're talking to. It's useful at work, but then at a party with strangers, I honestly don't even know how to just talk about myself anymore. I end up going with whatever topic they want instead. Surprisingly, I'm the first to mention HR. Source, I actually work at HR. And honestly, I don't like most people in our field. It's like what someone said about the police. Only about 25% of HR folks actually come in with good intentions. The rest, they're just drunk on the illusion of power, which is hilarious given how little real power we actually have. In IT, based on my experience with HR specialists, I've noticed 5 types. People who genuinely want to help but have no authority, people who know exactly what's going on but turn a blind eye, completely incompetent folks who can't help, mentally checked out employees just waiting for another job offer, a bizarre mix of all of the above in random proportions. Accountants. I've worked with various ones. Almost all are socially awkward, and many are just plain weird. They're way more comfortable with numbers than people. As a kid, our church had a lady in her late 50s who was incredibly strange. Spoke softly, rarely started conversations, never missed a service or meeting, but always stayed in the shadows. Looking back, she was probably on the spectrum. Turns out she made makeup for deceased people in open caskets, spending hours adjusting their faces daily. Wild profession, and it takes a very particular mindset. Here's a story of a guard from right before Christmas. One of my girlfriend's brother's coworkers went to their boss asking to cut down his hours because he got accepted for prison guard training. He just wanted to work weekends. The boss said, "Good thing you came in, we need to talk." 10 minutes later, the dude walks out, fired on the spot. Why? Well, turns out just a week earlier, this galaxy-brained genius went out for a smoke break, saw a homeless guy near the building, and literally yeeted him down the stairs. After the poor guy tumbled all the way down, Mr. Security casually walked over and gave him a couple more bonus kicks before going back to his shift like nothing happened. Absolute NPC behavior. The dumbest part? He did this right outside a hospital under a security camera. The same camera he was scheduled to monitor. Another coworker saw the footage, saved it, and sent it to management that evening. And this guy thought he was about to work with inmates? Mega oof. When they fired him, he just shrugged and said, "Doesn't matter, I was leaving anyway," completely ignoring the fact that a police report had already been filed. Spoiler, the prison job offer vanished and now he's unemployed. Teaching English abroad also attracts a ton of unusual characters. From what I've seen, it's often people running away from their home country, heading somewhere nobody knows them. Combine that with an impressionable audience of students, and the whole field just magnetizes some questionable personalities. Scientists, especially chemists, are some of the strangest people I've met in labs. Their hobbies are usually super niche. Locksmiths. Absolute goofball central. I used to work as a locksmith at a government facility with a centralized workshop and 49 other locksmiths. Every single one of them was delightfully unhinged, myself included. At locksmith conventions, it was the same vibe. Dudes arguing with actual lock manufacturers about how their own locks really work. And the keychain flexing, endless. So many guys trotting around with comically huge rings of keys, even though literally no one there is impressed. One time I locked myself out and had to call a locksmith. The company promised me a fixed price. The guy shows up, looks at the door, and goes, "Oh, that's a special lock. I don't have the right tools. It's gonna cost you extra." I got annoyed, and then he goes, "Okay, fine. I'm not really supposed to do this, but I'll show you a trick." He literally opened the lock with nothing but a screwdriver and a hammer. Then he grinned and said, "Congrats, you paid for this nonsense, but now you'll never have to call us again or buy special tools. Just don't tell my boss." Unpopular opinion, IT people are really strange. I work in IT and can confirm this. Many of my colleagues are tech geniuses but struggle socially. They're closed off, miss subtle hints, and read emotions poorly. Sometimes I wonder if they think the same about me. People have even told me I'd be better suited for another field. Too open and communicative, apparently. The only person who ever genuinely freaked me out? A retired engineer who now makes adult toys as a side gig. His thoughts were so dark and twisted that it literally gave me chills. Thanks for watching. Drop a comment under the video what profession you think the weirdest people usually pick. And don't forget to check out our other videos. See you around!